Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Through Black and White Eyes. A bit of an early morning one. Not sure what this is going to be about. Liam's the only one who knows the stuff, so we're going to bring him in and discuss what he knows. Unfortunately, I've got no cards or information because I honestly don't know what he's going to talk about. So it's going to be very, very interesting. We're going to have a good discussion about who he does talk about, though. Before we get going, though, let's just get the early guys in. Richard, good morning, mate. Morning, Jan. I'm still trying to wake up, to be honest with you. Morning, Roger. Left back scoop. I honestly don't know, Roger. We'll soon find out. Morning, Steve. Morning, Andy. Morning, Caitlin or Nick. I'm guessing Nick, because Caitlin's always at work. Nick, get to work. Morning, all. Oh, there's lots of mornings flying in. Let's get the morning. Morning, Chairs. Morning, Alan. Morning, Leslie. I want to go back to bed, to be honest with you. Morning. Managed to catch one for a change. You did, Steve. Well done, mate. You do catch enough. You do well. Let's just shout out quickly to Diacro, our sponsor. We're going to be doing a free giveaway at 12 o'clock. But if you do want to buy some of their amazing T-shirts, it's 20% off using that code. So please consider checking them out because they're great little family-run company. I can promise you that. And Roger's in the house. Right, let's bring Liam in. Good morning, Liam.
Good morning. Can you hear me very well?
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't do 8 o'clock. My alarm went off at 8 and I was just like, nah, I don't want to get out of bed.
I did the same. I've just got out of bed about half an hour ago.
Yeah, snap. I'm drinking my coffee, brushed my teeth. I haven't had a shower yet, though, which is minging. So as soon as we finish this, straight upstairs and then try and get ready and do something with the kids before we go live again at 12 o'clock.
Oh, fantastic.
Caitlin's on a 10-day holiday. Get in. Yes, Caitlin's at work. Nick's on a 10-day holiday. Nick, you can't take holidays without a partner. That's wrong, isn't it? That's wrong.
No, he's right. He's got the right idea. He's got the right idea.
I've got to be careful what I say. So yeah, definitely wrong, Nick. Wrong. Always take your holidays at the same time. But I've got kids. I've got an excuse. I can, we've got to spread our holidays out to cover all the school holidays. Yeah. It's all fun and games. You'll learn about this when you get older. She couldn't get them off, bless her. Oh, that's not good. And welcome, Pierre, and welcome, Andrew. Good morning. Right. So this is, you've asked me to do a show, which I wanted to do one. You haven't told me anything about what's going to be said.
Nope.
So I'm ready with my phone to start finding out stuff about people we're going to be talking about.
Kept you a bit in the dark.
Yeah. I did see you tweet about Neymar, so that was obviously a good scoop for you. Obviously, he said he was going to go to Saudi Arabia. There's not many people jumped on it, to be fair. So well done on that one. How did that come about, and when did you find out about it, and why did you break it?
As you know, there's a guy that I speak to now and again who got it pretty much bang on about Maxi leaving, which was another thing that I mentioned a while ago. Obviously, there's a few people that tweeted maybe before a few hours, but I don't follow them, so I couldn't see their tweets. But this guy's pretty much got contacts. I mean, the guy even got to the point of where I was getting people's numbers that I shouldn't really have. so that's how much he's got contacts. But these people won't speak to me because, look, I'm a young lad. I'm just a fan like everybody else. I like to tweet about my club and I like to find out things that not many other people would find out. So I'm lucky and privileged in a way that I've got someone that'll speak to us and share what they know. But in regards to, obviously, Neymar, he mentioned about Neymar a good few weeks back. It was sort of on the back burner. PSG didn't want to let him go just because, obviously, they wanted to resolve the situation with Mbappe and stuff. But more or less because of what they did with Mbappe and the fact that it got resolved, that's what forced the Neymar deal to go through a bit more. They wanted to cash in on Neymar just because his attitude in the dressing room is not the best. We already know, as it's been mentioned by a couple of the top people out there that obviously tweets like Fabrizio Romano and stuff like that. Mbappe is going to go in the summer, just because obviously he will basically sign a deal with PSG to stay on at them at the moment, but he will go for a fee in the summer. It is looking more than likely Real Madrid is that destination. He's got a behind the scenes agreement, which I've never ever heard of until this window. Right. But apparently this deal that you can have with clubs can happen, but the clubs don't like to release it to the media.
Hmm.
That's why I've got a heartbreaking thing that I keep mentioning to people, and people ain't gonna listen till next summer, and it's gonna break everybody's hearts. I'm trying to believe it because I'm such a massive fan, but the more and more I hear about it, the more and more I just think, right, it sounds more real now because of the background story behind it. And I've got a little bit more on that the tier as well, and we can speak about that as well and see what everyone else's thoughts are. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people that will say, look, it's never happening, but the more and more I hear about this background story, the more and more it's starting to add up, and it's really bringing the story around now, and it's getting frustrating.
Yes, we'll come on to that a little bit later on. You do get numbers, to be fair, because you passed on Maxi's number, but he didn't reply to me. Thanks, Maxi. I tried to get Maxi on for an interview. The message got delivered. He just never read it.
Mine got delivered and read.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I was quite nice to him.
Absolutely blanked.
At least I thought I was quite nice to him.
Yeah.
I basically said, I'll never use your number again. I'll never message you again. I'll never pass it on. But I run a small channel. Would love to have an interview saying goodbye to the fans, sort of thing. And it's delivered, but he's not read it. So I don't blame him, to be fair. But it was worth a try, wasn't it? Everything's worth a try.
Yes, definitely.
Chris, we will get onto stuff. I promise you. But it's a show. You've got to build up to things, mate. You can't just go straight into things. Otherwise, we'll be on for 5 minutes. So we are likely to get to of Arsenal get Cancelo. Ooh, it's an interesting question. Hoping we have such an awesome season that never happens. Yes, obviously Leslie knows the background information that's coming because they've been put into our group. I don't want to believe it, and I will not believe it.
Honestly, I don't blame you. I really don't want to believe it either. It's just the more and more I hear about it. It's not even just him that's telling us. Yeah. There's him and 2 others now that's like pretty much the same story, but not the same story. They're sort of like intertwining with each other, and they're adding up, and I'm like, oh, right, something has happened for this to be coming out by multiple people now. Unless they talk, but I've never seen them following them or having contact with them, so...
Well, this is a good question, Baz. Who would you be more sad about if these were to leave, J7 or Bruno? To be honest with you, I put both of them on the same pedestal at the moment. Our whole midfield free now, with Taloni added into that, I would hate to see any of them leave, and I'd be equally as sad if one of them went. If both of them went at the same time, I'd be equally sad and angry and like wanting answers, a bit like Andy Cole. Yeah. Even although I know you're a bit young for that one, but I want to know why we were selling 2 of our best players at the same time and ripping the heart out of a midfield that showed against Villa is absolutely superb. The way Taloni just stepped in and looked like he'd been in the midfield since last season was phenomenal. The way the 3 of them passed the ball around with each other, and it felt like they were playing in a circus and Villa were the clowns. That's how it felt. They were just that good. So I'd be equally as angry, sad. I don't put either one of them above each other. Tulani will be my name on the back of my shirt, though. I'll put him a tiny little bit ahead of everyone because I know how good he's going to be. What about you, Liam? Who would you if they sold both of them at the same time, J7 and Bruno, do you put one of them ahead of each other?
Oh, Bruno by a mile. I'd put Bruno ahead of J7, but I'd be absolutely devastated if they did them both. And do you know what's the worst thing? If you asked me this a few seasons ago when we got Joe Linton and watched him, I'd be saying I'd snap your hand off if we sell him. But now he's one of those players where you're just like, honestly, I couldn't imagine the team without him. Because he's the way he's just developing that team is unbelievable.
Oh, he's superb. Right, come on then, hit me with the first one. I'm ready.
So there's a lot. So I've been given 4 bits of information on centre backs. The one that we went for originally was Axel. Is it Desailly?
Yeah.
Desailly? The one that just went to Chelsea. We went for him, we approached him. Issue with that one, Chelsea just acted a hell of a lot quicker. We didn't sort of have the funds that they wanted up front. We wanted to do it more on an instalment plan, whereas Chelsea were like, no, let's go. So we missed out on him because of that. He was one of the top targets at the time. sadly it collapsed that way. The more I look into him, he looked a fantastic centre back. But the other ones that we're starting to see now come out are starting to make sense just because of the situation. Even the one that I got last night, I got one last night, really late last night. And this guy, I think I covered him months back. So there's a guy from Sporting Lisbon called Encanto. I think that's how you pronounce his name. So he got given to us last night. I think he's been mentioned in the media a few times as well, possibly being linked with us, as well as the many other names. But it's more development on his side now than the other two that are on this list, just because Sporting's now made him available. The player and the revolving background staff, obviously with him, he's got like his own little circle in and amongst that club. They've basically came forward and pushed sort of like the agent said, look, this is where you should go. You're going to thrive in your career. And he's basically presented them with us. They reckon, according to this guy, he said Ashworth's had a contact with the player's agent. However, the issue around him is the fee. So they reckon Sporting Lisbon's going to be holding out between 34 to 40 million euros. So that one's interesting, but it's not that bad when you look at him as a player. I mean, he played the majority of Sporting's games last season, got 33 games in there for himself. And for a centre-back, he even got 3 assists. So, I mean, a centre-back getting assists, pretty interesting. He's only 21 years of age, so he's still young, up and coming.
See, I've got, if it is the right one, which we have mentioned it before, Gonzalo Incio.
Yes, that's him.
INCIO. So they've got him down as a left back, right back. You can play either side. 21. Yeah. This is SofaScore. This is where I get my information from. Preferred foot is left foot. 21. This season, we'll go back to last season because that's where we want to be. So he played 33 games, started 26, team of the week 2, scored 1 goal, 3 assists, which is nice to see because our left backs never get any assists. Created 4 big chances, involved in 7 clean sheets, which is good. Only 4 yellow cards. I like that as well. I always like to look at tackles per game and duels and stuff like that. Yeah. So he wins 59% of his duels. He doesn't do many dribbles, which that's fair enough. I prefer giving goals anyway when you're left back. Ground duels, 58%. And aerial duels, 60% he wins. So normally averages about 4 to 5 duels a game. And so it all depends if they're going down the left wing, I suppose, or the right wing. But they've definitely got him down as he could play centre back, but SofaScore have him down as a left or right back. Now, with Livramento coming, he would probably not need it potentially, maybe, especially at that price.
Yeah, there's obviously a talk about him potentially being in that area, but as far as this guy's concerned, he's the centre-back option we'll want more than he is going to be that left-back option. The good thing about him, and this is why Eddie Howe likes these kind of players, is how versatile they are to play out of positions. He's comfortable to play on that left, on that right, and even at centre-back, so he can play everywhere across that back 4. And this is why Howe likes him. It's just obviously finding if, obviously, either left-back or centre-back's his best position, or even right-back is pushed if it comes to that part.
But it's
that's
interesting.
Why Howe really wants him.
Well, the last match he played in, Sporting played a 3-4-3 formation, and he played as the left centre-back on the left side of the free. So maybe them saying this, saying he's a left-back or a right-back, he's actually maybe good as part of a free. Now, Eddie Howe did try that in pre-season, didn't he?
Yeah, certainly did.
Yeah, so maybe that's one of the reasons why we might want to sign him, because he can play in a free. Talibo's the one I want from Nice. Do we have any information on him? Because he was highly recommended. He's someone that we have spoke about quite a lot.
So the first one off the top, before obviously we're coming to the Tadibo one, I'll go into the main one. Because my information sort of links down to him. So Antonio Silva, as I've been mentioned multiple times, he's been linked with quite a few times as well. I'm pretty sure he got even mentioned back in January of last year. But he was the top target until the price valuation got sent over from Benfica. I had a feeling it was coming just based on Benfica and the players they've sold in the past, obviously the Premier League. So he was the top target originally, after failing to get Axel, who went to Chelsea. However, Benfica's wanting around 100 million euros now for him, and it's never going to happen under evaluation this summer. I'm not saying it's not going to happen in the future, but this summer we just can't splash out 100 million on a centre half.
No,
it's not possible, especially after his wages as well, because he's going to want a hefty wage. However, if you look at Antonio Silva, you can understand why that price tag's on his head. I mean, he's that top centre back. He's potentially just someone that they're going to keep to build a team around because of how well he's moulded in that squad. And obviously, he's just thriving in that Benfica team. And if I'm correct, he actually come through Benfica's youth academy. So you're not going to want to just sell your youth academies when they're going to count so many registrations behind the scenes for like Champions League or the league themselves and things like that.
I think Benfica would be all right with that sort of stuff, though, because they do rely on the academy to bring players through. So they've always got enough for registrations.
Definitely.
Do they want to get rid of a 19-year-old who, probably would benefit from staying there for at least another 2-3 years, then moving on, and then they get the valuation of 100 million euros, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, quality, and he's the one that would work really well because he's a right centre back.
Yeah.
So you would challenge him for Shaw, then you would take over Shaw. But would he want to sit behind Shaw on the bench? I doubt it. You'd want to learn. I mean, he is quality.
He's got Champions League experience as well.
Exactly.
Another one to top it off. And that'll be another reason why that price evaluation for him is so high, especially being at 19 and being on the big world stage of a Champions League. I mean, you can't really go wrong with someone that age, can you?
And I mean, to put in perspective of what he did last season was phenomenal at his age, because he played 30 games. He started 30 games. He played every minute of every game.
Yeah.
He was in the team of the week 4 times. He scored 3 goals. His assists, there isn't any, which is, you expect that as a centre back, but he missed big 3 chances. Like, he could have had 7 goals last season, 6-7 goals. Clean sheets 16. Now I know it is in the Portuguese league, and that might not sound as good as what it could be, but 16 clean sheets for me is phenomenal. Total duels 57% won. He does about 4 a game. You win 54% ground duels, 61% in the air, so there's no point in even trying to go aerial. Imagine him at Botman. Possession lost only 6 times per game, which is really good as a centre back. And again, quality. I mean, he would be, only 5 yellow cards, which is amazing. It shows that he's got maturity, even though at a young age he doesn't dive in. And he's got a 92% passing accuracy, which is really good. But again, it all depends on how he's passing. But to me, as a centre-back, you just want to give the ball easy. Sometimes try a Hollywood pass and see if it comes off. But yeah, I mean,
definitely.
But for 100 million euros at 19, you can see why his valuation is that, because of the sell-on forward. He's got so much years ahead of. We could have him for 5 years and then sell him on for 100 million ourselves. 100%. So, because he only hits 24 then, doesn't he? 25, and he's coming into his prime. So,
absolutely.
It's a shame. But at 100 million, unless Newcastle are willing to break the boots, which I don't think we are, I think he'll be one for maybe next summer.
And then to lead on to Todibo, and everyone asks about Todibo quite a lot. So we'll have a situation at the moment where Todibo was always plan B for potentially going for Antonio Silva. Obviously, until that name got mentioned, it was last night from the guy from Sporting. Todibo still considered plan B. However, Nice wants 50 million euros now. So that's because of Man United.
44 million.
Yeah. So this is because Man United won him as well. So they know there's a high sort of like 2 teams that want to sort of go for him. So they're going to try and balance it and try and get like a bidding war in sense. But we're not going to be forced into any bidding war with him. However, Todibo is one of the players that has actually come forward and said he wants to move to Newcastle over Man United. That's what I've been given in regards to him, though, in regards to he's actually said this to his agent, which has been passed over to our recruitment staff that's being fed back. The only issue with is the fee. The fee's the difficult part, because we have so many different areas of the pitch that we want to sort of get at least another option for, especially with your left back. There is obviously a couple that come on there, and we've seen the links in the media as well. But for them to work, and for the centre-back option to work, centre-back is priority at the moment just because the club understands of how much of a difficult situation we'll be in if we get an injury to Shaw.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're worried that Lascelles is going to be absolutely dreadful, but they're more conscious about if Shaw gets injured, they are left with Lascelles and that's it.
Yeah. There's no other option. That's the problem, isn't there?
Yeah, and you've got 56 games this year. And if he gets injured pretty early doors, you've got 56 games to designate a one centre-back, and we just kind of do that.
And he is getting on Shaw a little bit. Concussion's always a worry for me every time he goes for an aerial challenge.
He loves one of them.
Yeah, I mean, left centre-back and left-back. I know we're not blessed with amazing talent in that area, but we are blessed with players. So left centre-back, we could have Botman, Byrne and Dummett. And I know people will say Dummett, but Dummett actually played quite well in the friendlies. He will do a job if needed, but he's like the third option to that left centre-back. Then at left-back, we've got Target, Byrne, Trippier, and potentially Livramento. So we are kind of blessed with players in the areas, just not the high quality that you need to compete on all fronts. So right centre-back, I think you're right, is probably our main priority.
Yeah, and then for the last bit onto Debo is, so the player himself's actually going to try and make a move happen internally and try and force the move. I don't agree with when they do this, but it's the fact that he's getting Premier League interest and he wants to play in the world's best league. He sees this as the best league and it's the best opportunity to do it, especially when he's at 23 years of age now. He wants to move, and he's spent his time in Nice and building up with that team, but he's got as far as he needs to go now, so he wants to excel that bit further. And I understand that, but forcing a move's the one that I actively like when players do it.
I don't mind players handing in transfer requests and saying they want to leave. It's when they start refusing to play, and that sort of thing. A bit like Kabay did for us, that broke my heart. Yeah, but if a player says, "Look, I want to leave, but I'm still going to give you 110% on the pitch," then fair enough. It's a different scenario for me. Alex Murphy is another one who can play left centre back, of course. I haven't seen a lot of him, but if he's ready, I suppose. We are going to come on to other players, but we'll just finish off on Todibo. Strengths, ball control, ground duels. He's a right centre back. Discipline and error proneness is his weaknesses. I'm sure Eddie Howe will stamp that out quite quickly. Last season, because obviously this season's just started, we don't want to look at that. Started 33 times out of 34. He played 84 minutes, so he obviously no injuries there to worry about, which is always good. I like to see that. 89% passing accuracy, 94% in his own half, which you want to see very high. 9 clean sheets, interceptions and tackles per game, 1 or 2. Clearances free, so you're looking at 7 potential challenges won, which is really good. Total duels though, 4.4, and you win 65%. Ground duels 3.3 and aerial duels 1.1. And I think the reason why his discipline comes into it is 2 yellow cards, 1 yellow to red, and 2 red cards. So that is a little bit of a worry in the Premier League, where it's a bit faster and a bit more, I would say it's a bit rougher than the French league. Does that concern you at all as well when you look at those figures?
No, because I think if you're a centre-half, you're going to get bookings. I think it's a natural thing as being a centre-half, especially when you've got big... I mean, look at the French league. The issue with having Todibo in the French league, he's quite quick. He is quite quick as a centre-back. But remember how he comes up against? He comes up against you like your Mbappes, your Neymars, things like that. The only way you're catching them is you're sticking a foot in. And I bet you I'm going to guarantee it's pretty much them games where he's getting beaten that bit quick and he's just late on the tackles. And obviously, the officiating in French football, they love a yellow card. They absolutely love a yellow card, yeah.
I've never watched a lot of French football, to be fair.
Absolutely love a yellow card in that league.
The 2 reds worries me a little bit, straight reds. So there's obviously, he's done something silly. I'd rather a man get beat than bring them down and get a red card, unless it's in the last minute of a game to save a point or save 3 points or something along those lines. So it's an interesting one, but again, he's a player we mentioned quite a lot recently. So we always had him as either plan A or plan B. You've got him down as plan B, so it's interesting. What's the next one then?
So we're going on our left back now. So obviously we've seen it happen, and we've seen obviously last night it got announced about Kieran Tierney from Arsenal.
Yeah,
we've been linked with Tierney for absolutely God knows how long now. It's been a thing that's happened, and it's been spoken about all. I think it's even been just before the window opened as well. We got linked to him. But Tierney's been on obviously Newcastle's list, but the issue is that deal will help Arsenal's target. So Arsenal's main target this summer now is João Cancelo from Man City. So if Tierney leaves, that is where Arsenal go next, but they need to sell Tierney for that deal to go through. But we want to get a loan, a buy option on Tierney, whereas Arsenal want to do a straight up permanent deal. They can't have any loan to buy options. They need the money now, because if they don't get it now, they're going to lose out on that top signing for that left back position, which is João Cancelo. So if any Arsenal fans are watching, your top target now is João Cancelo at left back. It's been confirmed by not just this guy, as well as multiple sources that have said this is Arsenal's now top target is João Cancelo. And I'm surprised as well, and I'm going to just throw this one out here, is we haven't actually went for João Cancelo this summer because of this price tag he's under. I mean, Man City, I'm pretty sure, is only wanting around 50 million, I think it is, roughly, for João Cancelo. And for someone like him to be at a 50 million price tag, I think it's a bargain. I think it's absolutely a steal.
I've got my reservations on him, though, with his attitude. Obviously, he went to Bayern Munich, didn't he, and fell out. He's fallen out with Pep. If you're falling out with two great clubs like that, why would we want to associate ourselves with someone who likes to have a whinge? And that doesn't fit our mold, does it? No. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. You know, you would have him in a heartbeat on Championship Manager or on FIFA or somewhere like that. But would you have him amongst our squad, and if he plays up? Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
that's a one thing that you got to look out for. But I think I would take him just based on him as a player himself. Just everyone's attitude can change. He might have had issues here and everywhere, but I don't think I blame him for having an attitude with someone like Pep Guardiola, because the way I see him speak with Haaland on the weekend, I was like, Jesus, no wonder his players kick off with him all the time.
He's just a passionate guy, I guess. But he's won everything, so it's a tough one. And I can see why Eddie would like Kieran Tierney, because he can actually cover two positions. He can cover left back and left centre back if we really need him to. His weaknesses, aerial duels, strengths are ground duels. Was obviously very good as a left back to have ground duels as a strength, because you are going to be coming up against fast wingers. He obviously hasn't played a lot recently because of injuries. That's the only thing that really worries me about how many times he's injured.
It's quite a lot,
is he fully fit now? I mean, he played against Man City in the Charity Shield, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because Arsenal, do they want to do business with us? I think Man City would, because of the relationship with the two owners.
Yeah.
Arsenal probably don't want to do business with us because they see us as a threat. Man City see us as a threat, but not quite yet. It's very interesting, isn't it? Because Chelsea won't do business with us, will they?
I think Arsenal have a situation now, though. They're going to be forced into doing business with us on this occasion just because of who their main target is at the minute. And I think, if I'm honest, I can understand why Cancelo's potentially going to Arsenal, just based on, obviously, Arteta's worked with him in the past when he was with Pep. And obviously, don't get us wrong, João Cancelo's a fantastic and versatile wing-back. He can play both on the right and left. So, and I think he'd mould into that Arsenal team quite well if they got someone like that. But I can see why Arsenal want to do, obviously, the deal with us. Obviously, they'll not do it with anyone else. I know Celtic will link with Tierney, but they can't afford to pay the money that Arsenal want for him. I think it's around 25 million, I think Arsenal want for Tierney. It was mentioned in the end. But we can easily work around that with add-ons and installments and things like that. So
the problem is, if Arsenal needed up front straight away to get the Cancelo deal, there's no way of being able to bargain with them unless we bargain with them, get a deal agreed in principle, then Arsenal go to City and say, right, this is what we can do because this deal is in place with Newcastle. Are you willing to listen and try and do a deal that works for all three clubs, I suppose.
Yeah.
That'll be the only way it'll get done by the sounds of things. Now, that's a lot of work to put in. So that could be something that maybe goes right down to the wire, potentially.
Yeah, definitely.
If we are going to go for him. Peter, give us a chance, mate. We're talking left backs now. He's a left back. We just talked about Scenery. Who else is on the list?
So we're coming to him now.
Lewis Hall, yeah.
So Lewis Hall,
bring him home.
We've been linked with him quite a lot. I mean, it was pretty much the start of the window. I think he even got originally linked. So we want to go in for him. Eddie Howe loves the idea of him because obviously he's English. He's a very versatile player. He played at left back for Chelsea. However, don't forget when he was in the academy,
he played as a
winger. Yeah, he can do everywhere.
That is literally what they put on there. They haven't got a clue what he really is.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about him is when he was in the youth academy at Chelsea, he played a lot of different positions, and this is why people don't know what his best position is yet. Remember why Chelsea's played Lewis Hall as a left back? Chelsea's system is a 5 sort of at the back with 3 centre defensive players and then the 2 wing backs. I hate that system. I've never been a fan of it, but you can see why he's played at left back rather than a winger because Chelsea don't play wingers. But we want him. It's been considered and talked about for a long, long time. The only issue is Chelsea want a loan option. That's it. We want a loan to buy option. But Chelsea's just completely against that. However, I just got something literally as we're speaking saying that in regards to Lewis Hall, it seems more logistic now that Chelsea will look to sell him. But it'll be quite a hefty fee that they'll want if they're going to sell him in full. That's why the loan to buy is being considered. However, Chelsea now need to start thinking about selling some players after they've just signed Caicedo and
Lavia
from Southampton. Yeah, so they need to start selling a few players and cashing in, and that's why Lewis Hall makes logical sense in regards to potentially moving to us for that loan to buy option. But there's work to go on behind the closed doors with them because obviously there's them 2 players between Tierney and Hall. Which would you go for? Do you go for the more experienced one or do you go for the young lad that's starting to come into the first team at 5?
I'd go Lewis Hall because his dad's a Geordie. Or his dad's aboard to Newcastle. It's one of the 2. I don't know which one it is, but there's links to Newcastle somewhere in the family. So yeah, plus I do prefer the younger player who hasn't got the injury record yet.
Yeah,
Tooney ticks a lot of boxes. But if this is right that Lewis Hall can play anywhere, he's a perfect player for Eddie Howe because you can have him on the bench. He'll cover a lot of positions, and then you can throw him in wherever you want. There's not a lot of stats and figures on him because obviously he hasn't played too much, but he did play against us at the last game of the season, and he shone for Chelsea, didn't he, in a 1-1 draw?
No, it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I think I've seen there's been a few clips of how he plays now, and you can see. I tell you one thing though, he can cross a ball. There's a few times I've watched him where he crosses the ball at the box, and this is the one thing I keep saying about Chelsea, and this is what Chelsea lacks. Chelsea lacks that number 9 that can really come into play and use that head. I'm not saying that Aubameyang could not use his head or anything like that. I'm just saying they lacked it quite sufficient. You could see that Chelsea play with wing backs that like to cross the ball in, and they just don't have that big man in the box. I mean, someone like a Mitrovic would be absolutely fantastic with Chelsea, and that's just because of how good he is on the ball and getting in the air and stuff. Lewis Hall can not cross the ball. And don't want to talk about Lukaku.
They've got a bus up front that they can aim at in the box, and if they do hit his head, he's got a decent record with his head. Yeah. Sorry, my little girl's getting a nappy change, so she's crying her eyes out. She just likes to have a whinge. This is what happens when you do moaning stuff from your house. Last season, though, Lewis Hall did play a few games, though. He started 8 times out of 9. He played against some big teams. He got a 7.4 rating against us, a 7.7 rating against Man United, a 7.6 rating against Man City. So that tells you, there is 100% a player in there already at the age of 18. He missed 2 big chances. Obviously, he's going to flourish the more games he gets. He created 5 chances, so there's that getting down the line and getting the ball in the box. Tackles wise, duels 5.6, 59% won. All ground duels almost. He doesn't very rarely go in the air, but again, when you're a left back, you don't want to be challenging in the air too much. And only 1 yellow card in 8 games out of 9, so that's quite impressive. The more I look at Lewis Hall, the more I think he is the perfect fit for Eddie Howe. He's the perfect fit for our squad, and he's the perfect age that we're looking at the moment. And I need to do a little video on it, but the pathways that we have at the moment, where you've got a few players that are 29 to 31, then you've got a good group between 25 and 28, and then you've got an amazing group behind it between 18 to 25. It's incredible. And then you've got all the 16-year-olds we're signing.
Yeah.
It's going to be mental, our pathway of players coming into our team. And Hall really does tick all those boxes. Tienery ticks nearly every box, apart from the injury record. But Hall, for me, definitely looking all that. The mirror has to be distracting. Yeah, the mirror. I know, I forgot to turn it around. I didn't have a chance. It's like two shows in one with a soap opera going on in the mirror behind you. I haven't told the missus she's been on the show in the mirror. We need Tino to start at least one to come on for the next 30-minute game. I mean, I'm guessing he'll be on the bench next game, potentially. Could even start. We don't know.
Comes into the team.
I know Man City next game. I wouldn't change anything from last week's team, to be fair. Yeah, but Hall for me would you choose Hall over Tienery or Tienery over Hall?
I would, as long as we're not going to splash a stupid fee on him. I mean, by a stupid fee, I mean like Chelsea evaluations are going to be ridiculous. Something like 60, 70 million they're going to probably ask for, because obviously come through the academy and they know what his potential is going to be like. And Pochettino's an absolute pain in the backside as well when it comes to negotiating for younger players. I know how much Poch was terrible for it at Tottenham. I can't remember, someone mentioned this about it. That would be a hard one in regards to getting the young lad from Chelsea because of Poch. Because Poch likes to obviously bring youngsters and build them into the team slowly. This is what Chelsea is now done. They need to trim that squad. They've got too many players. They've got far too many players to register them all. So it's just one of those things. I would love to see Hall come to us, just because I've always said left back's a weakness for us. I'm not saying Burn does a terrible job. It's more like going forward. Burn can get forward, but if he gets forward, he's hard to get back, especially when it's past like second half sort of vibes. If it's like 60th minute and stuff, Burns and that guy, if he's been running back and forwards down that wing. So having someone a bit more energetic and up and down, I think would really need that.
See, I still think the right centre back's more of a priority than left back. I really do. I honestly still think, and I don't know why, because going off previous history with Newcastle, Isak came out with nowhere. Even though we did mention we were after Isak, and then it went quiet because of the Ekiteke stuff, and then suddenly, bam, we put 65 million down for him. Do you think there's still a massive deal in Newcastle before this window ends? A surprise one?
I do and I don't. I feel like we're going to sort of keep our cards close to our chest in regards to this, just because I feel like the club's going to try and get smaller, mediocre sort of players to come in, like in regards to like prices. And then they're going to try and keep some sort of financial fee for January. And then they're going to have that big statement signing in January, because I think this summer we've already done that in Tonali. I think Tonali's been the main player that was splashed a lot of cash on. I mean, you've seen it in each window. We had Isak, we had Botman, and now we've got Sandro. So they've obviously got that big players in regards to big fees of when they've set them out. So I think it might be done in regards to the big fee this summer. I mean, it could change. Things change on the daily with the club. We know that. They'll never. The hard thing is getting things out of the club. Eddie Howe's fantastic at playing down the media. I mean, we've seen him when Isak was potentially signing for it. He said, I know nothing of it. Next thing you know, 24 hours later, Isak's in the building. Like, he's very good at playing the media down. So I don't think this summer we're going to see a massive transfer fee, other than obviously the Sandro deal that's already been done. January, I can depend on where we are in the league and how bad we need someone else to excel in the team. But it's if the right player comes around.
January is always difficult to do deals, isn't it? That's the only other thing. But we've done very well actually in January so far. We've had 2 January windows and we pulled out some gems. So I wouldn't put it past them, because it's another financial year by then, isn't it? So FFP resets itself. So we might be in a better place depending on league position, I suppose. big sponsorship coming in September. That would be interesting. Jan says, Harry Maguire, it's a big no from me. He's lost all his confidence. Yes, Howe could potentially get it back. At 20 million, is he worth a punt?
I don't think you'll see Harry Maguire come to somewhere like us. Just because I don't think he fits our system. Because we play too much high tempo for Harry Maguire to blend in, sort of thing. The one that I said, and I think I said this to someone, one of my friends, about Maguire, is I'm very surprised he hasn't made a move to Saudi Arabia.
I think that could be a good move for him, to be fair.
Yeah.
Pal, we've done so much, you're going to have to rewatch it. And his shit, of course. Yes, we have signed the lad from AC Milan. Next incoming will be the lad from Inter. We spoke about these two a lot on a lot of the videos I've done. It's just a matter of time the other one comes in as well. And they will go out on loan. There's no way they go straight into the first team. They'll either go into the under-23s or they'll go out on loan. But this is what I talk about pathways, about getting these young players in and making sure they develop. It's going to be absolutely sensational what comes out of our academy in the future. I know it's going to take 5-6 years to see it, but it will be worth the wait. Look at Brighton. Look at the players that have came through. Casado, you've got Ferguson, McAllister, all these players you've never heard of come to Brighton, spent a couple of years developing, then found it to the main team, and then got sold on for like 160 million for the two of them. It's crazy money. And that could easily happen with us because FFP will start to disappear if we can do that. And yes, they are both only 18, two Irish lads who found themselves in Italy. Don't know how that happens, how they slip through the net, but they're going to be at Newcastle, so it's going to be very good. I see the board have created another revenue stream with the wings bar, great future proofing. I mean, matchday revenue does count, but it's only a small percentage. But it's a way of getting high-end clients in, and that gets you bigger sponsorships in the future as well if you're able to host them in these very posh, luxurious places. I did a little bit of the rooftop on my video because my mate Adam was there with work. They had 10 season tickets in it. It's just incredible in there, but it's £800 a ticket.
Jesus.
Wow. I've said it before, and I know it's not popular, but if we get Cucurella playing like you did at Brighton, I think he would be a better with him. I'm not a fan of Cucurella. Is he on the list?
No.
Nah. I don't think we're even looking at Cucurella, to be honest with you.
No, we mentioned once.
Saudis only go for quality players. It's true. That's why we haven't got rid of Fraser, Hendrick, and all them lot, isn't it, really? Morning all, no notification again. Very strange. This show has been in YouTube since yesterday. Did I put it in yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday.
I can't remember. I put it in yesterday, so I don't know why the notification hasn't come. And there's lots of shows in. I basically planned the whole week ahead, mate. So if you go onto the YouTube channel and you go into what's coming up, you'll see everything through to Sunday night. And I'm going to try and do that every week. I'm going to plan a week ahead and get all the shows in so you don't miss them. Have you got the black bell hit? TMW, that's not for me. Oh, yeah, the bell. There's a bell you've got to hit for notifications, so come on. We're coming to near the end, so very quickly hit the subscribe button if you've enjoyed the show and you're new to it. Please hit the thumbs up button if you don't mind. And don't forget to check out our sponsor, Diet Crow. Amazing guys, little family-run business, do amazing Newcastle tops from America. They do have a printing shop in the UK to ship out as well, and everyone gets 20% off. And I've got the Nick Pope the Wall t-shirt. It's absolutely brilliant. So please consider it. Who else is in the chat? Lewis Hall from me. Young, great player and another to be moulded Howe's way. Exactly. That's what I like about getting younger players in, Liam, is because Eddie Howe gets a hold of them and then moulds them into our system.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen it multiple times of people getting moulded into new positions. Joelin being the main one that I'll always keep pointing out.
That was just sensational. Yeah, it is odd. I honestly don't know how to explain that one. The Mighty Wayne. Just have a look and keep an eye out on the channel. It's something to do with YouTube, that one. You'll have to ask them why their notifications aren't coming through. If you've got an iPhone, you might have hit the bell button, but you might have gone into the settings and turned off notifications for the app. So check in there and see if you've got your notifications turned on for the app itself.
Break his heart.
Yeah. I love it. Newcastle buy a left back for, I want centre back quality. So a left back and a centre back. Jan, I'm so sorry. I meant to delete your all cap, not time you out. Oh, Jez. For some reason, it only seems to be through black and white eyes. Well, weird. I don't know why then. Android, get all the other. Oh, I'm on Apple, so I don't know anything about Android.
It's your Android thrown in the bin.
Yeah, just get an iPhone. People will laugh at us for that one. Any other names linked with Newcastle? Are we going to try? Are we actually going to put this out there about a certain player who it'll blow up and we'll get loads of shit for it?
Yeah. So there's no more links that I've seen or heard of. However, if you want, I can break everybody's heart and everyone can call us a dickhead, basically.
Yeah. So Liam told us this a couple of days ago, and I put a picture of him in celebrating with everyone, saying there's no way this lad's leaving. But you never say never in football. We sold Maxi because of FFP. If we have to sell someone for 100 million to then be able to go out and mould the squad and carry on going, there is a chance it's a small chance for me, but you've heard it from several people. Tell everyone what you've been, because it's going to hurt a lot of people and it's going to blow up in the chat.
Yeah, and everyone's going to slate with everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
I'm here for that.
I got this out of the blue good few weeks back now. It was just after Maxi had been sold, and it's about Bruno Guimaraes potentially leaving the club. Not now. I'm not saying he's gonna leave now, but according to the guy that I speak to, and he got it pretty much bang on with Maxi and has a lot of different contacts, and it wasn't just him that's confirmed this now. Bruno, when he was off and he was on his holidays before pre-season and things like that, had a private barbecue meeting with Barcelona reps. The club found out about it. Bruno got a good bollocking about it because the club just found out some way in their own way that this meeting happened. Issue is the reckoning now that Bruno has one of those agreements that I've never heard of until this summer, of where he said to Barcelona that he's going to play his season with Newcastle this year, play in the Champions League because that's where he wants to play. However, next season he's more than open to moving to Barcelona as long as they can pay him. But we already know by this source as well, he said there's no way Newcastle sell him unless it's over 100 million. Mm-hmm. So that'll be in that. PSG asked for Bruno this summer. I think this was the one that I mentioned a while on Twitter. Yeah, so PSG mentioned about him and asked about him towards the start of the window, and the club straight up said, no, not happening. We'll never sell him. But next summer, apparently Bruno to Barcelona has pretty much agreed on player and Barcelona's terms, not our terms.
Yeah, it
could change. I'm not saying it's definite, but this is what I've been told, so I'm going to throw it out there so I can come back next season and got told you if it did happen. I'm just going to put it out there. But the issue with Bruno we've got at the moment is we know his contract's been in the works for some time now.
Yes.
It was reported just after January. I'm pretty sure it was even reported in January that it was under the works.
How long has he got left? Is it 2 or 3 years?
I believe it's 3 now Bruno's got left.
Right.
I can't double check it, but I think it's 3. But there was a new deal getting spoke with Bruno behind closed doors. The source that said about Bruno potentially leaving has come out and says Bruno's rejected the contract. However,
I heard that.
It's based on the fact that he's got this gentleman's sort of agreement with Barcelona. He already knows he wants to go there, which I hope it's not true because it's a pain in the arse if it is. But Bruno's turned it down. He's wanting that move to Barcelona next summer. He's not got anything against the club. He just didn't want to renew his contract, which it is an absolute... I mean, it annoys me in the sense of that he's doing that. If he has agreed a deal with Barcelona because of how much we've done for him and put faith in him and things like that, and how he's coming into a team that's going to thrive and it's only going to get better. But if he wants to go, then as much as I love him, don't stand in the player's way. If he wants to go and he's not set staying at our club, then cash in on him, get a massive fee. I'm not saying sell him at pennies like they did with Maxi. Get a massive fee for him. You're looking at over 100 million for Bruno easily, based on performances. So it's one of those ones where if it happens, we're all going to be heartbroken. It's going to be like a Kabay situation again for me. Yeah. If we sell Bruno, I'll be absolutely devastated. It'll be like Kabay. It's one of those ones where you just
can't control it because we're in a better situation, aren't we?
Yeah, and you just can't control it as well because obviously, I mean, it's going to benefit us in the sense of it'll help with pushing the FFP bracket. It'll give us a hell of a lot more money to invest in the club, but we're selling one of our, if not our best player.
Yeah. But if we look at it from that point of view, so let's just say we push Barcelona right now. There's a couple of ways of looking at it. There's one, there's Barcelona. Do they actually have the money?
Yeah.
Do they actually have the scope to be able to offer Bruno the contracts? Because they've been struggling to sign on players this summer. Unless they've got something in the pipeline that frees up a lot of money at Barca, that's the one thing I would throw out there straight away. Barcelona, I don't think can afford 105, 110. I mean, if Casado's going for 115 million, Bruno's going for 115 million in my eyes. It's as simple as that. And then can they afford his wages to sign on to Barca because of all the players they've got? But let's look at it purely at Newcastle's point of view. One player who undoubtedly is one of our best players, but I think Taloni is going to be right up there with him. We've found our other Bruno. That's the way I look at it. I think we found our Bruno replacement potentially. And if you sell him for 115 million, let's just say he goes between 100 million and 115 million, because that's the price I would want. The FFP then allows us in one window to go to about 300 to 400 million just by selling one player. Would that be about right? In imitation, or would it be more?
I couldn't tell you.
So an imitation works out that it works over so many windows, doesn't it? So that 25 million we got for Maxi allowed us to spend another 70, I think someone said. So if you're selling someone for 100 million, you're trebling what he's worth in FFP.
Yeah.
So then Newcastle could then go out in the summer, because the best time to do it would be the summer. Don't do it in a January window. You know, you've got to do it in a summer window. Yeah. We can go out and then mould a Champions League and a title contending Premier League. Someone said further up in the chat that would ruin our chances of winning the Premier League. It wouldn't.
No. Not one
actually, player. Yeah. Actually, selling Bruno could actually fast track us to winning the Premier League earlier because of the amount of extra signings we could make. Yes, Bruno is top quality, and I would hate to lose him. But on the flip side, you've got to think about what that money would do to the football club and what it would allow them to spend and future-proof the FFP for, years to come. Yeah. Because we're only going to get bigger and better, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Peter says 70 million in De Jong, and he would take the deal. He's quality.
I would take De Jong, but he's one of those ones that he could flop very quickly.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I don't think we've missed Maxi at all, which is a different conversation.
I said for a long time that we needed to cash in on Maxi just because he's the one player that hasn't really listened to how, in a sense of how he wants to play.
Peter's got it right there. The club is bigger than one player, and that's why Maxi ended up having to be sold, because we had to be able to bring in the likes of Livramento and Barnes. So we got two players for that one, and that's what you've got to look at with Bruno. And it all depends on how his season goes, because a lot of people have mentioned it. He's I don't know. He wasn't the best player on the pitch against Villa in my eyes. Taloni was. And has he had his nose put out because of these talks with Barcelona? I mean, Barcelona's a huge club. They won the league last year. They're always going to be in the Champions League. They're never going to drop out of the top four, where potentially the Premier League is that competitive. Newcastle could drop out if we don't future-proof our future by signing big players. And maybe, Bruno hasn't had the reassurances that he thought he was getting from the club, about the project. Maybe we're actually not delivering on what he was expecting. So maybe that's why he's thought Barcelona's a good option for me at the age I'm at.
Now, just on the back of Bruno as well, this guy's literally said, keep an eye out for Newcastle signing a midfielder by the end of this window, early January. If that happens, that concretes Bruno's move in the summer. They're future-proofing themselves to make sure that they've got cover for him leaving, because I don't want it to be a big surprise to the fans when he does get dropped from the first team and this new player comes in at the centre midfield. So that's what he's just said in regards to that.
It's an interesting one from Craig here about him being played as a 6. He doesn't want to play as a 6 because it's affected his Brazil chances. I don't see a 6 in our team at the weekend. I saw that midfield 3 swapping around all the time.
Yeah, I don't think he's got it. I don't think the midfield's going to have a set positions.
No, I think we're going to work as a team, aren't they?
I think Howe even spoke about it after the game, that the midfield's just so dynamic in its own way that there's not actually a set rule for them. They just do it. They just do their own little thing and just get on with the job. And everyone just sort of fills into whatever. I mean, even Joe Linton does a 6 role now and again, the way he moves around.
Exactly. That's the way I look at our midfield 3 now. They're that clever. They intertwine and they cover for each other in position. So, and I'm not worried about them playing a 6 or not playing a 6, because within the game, the intelligence is there to allow Bruno to go free if he needs to, and Toloni steps back or Joe Linton steps back. They literally work as a little team within a team, don't they? As the 3. So it's like our centre-back pairings with Trippier and Burn on the left. When Trippier goes bombing up, Dan Burn sits back and we play a 3 at the back. You know, it's such a clever system. It's hard to keep an eye on it all the time, but if you try and watch when we're attacking, which is hard to do because you don't really want to watch the back 4 or the back 3, but watch what happens with the system. It's very, very clever. He's another turncoat. Get rid. He's not playing like he was. It's only been 1 game. Friendlies are friendlies of just trying to get them fit, but let's see what happens. It does have depth, it really does.
That's the one we've got to watch for, is that Lewis Miley lad's coming that.
Miley, yeah. Miley is going to save us 50, 70, 80 million just by being him, because he looks quality.
Well, he's going to be the next one. That's going to be like, when you're Matty Longstaff's and you're Sean Longstaff's broke onto the scene, I think he's going to be like them.
Yeah. But as your thoughts on Carson, our signings on Eddie Howe signing, or are Eddie Howe signings, and that top 6 would not buy them. I mean, I think the top 6 would abide Tolini if they had a chance, because he is definitely a top 4 player without a shadow of a doubt. Harvey Barnes isn't this sexy name, but if you look at his match ratings in the last 4 years, he's above Saka in assists, in goal contributions. He's above a lot of big players. I just think Carrot hasn't got a fucking clue what he's talking about half the time, to be honest with you. I would say we have the best midfield in the Prem. I wouldn't swap any of our midfielders, to be fair. I mean, I would get Kevin De Bruyne in somehow. Probably the only player who could walk into our team would be Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield 3, because it's Kevin De Bruyne. Only just got the shirt will be out of date by the time Bruno leaves, though. What we're saying is potentially in the summer, next summer, that is. Bruno got married and went to 6 other weddings. Guy's got to get back in the groove. Exactly. He's had how many puddings has he had? He says he's got a sweet tooth, so there's no way he's only nailing 1 pudding at a wedding. He's having 2. And all that cake as well. It will be a lot of money. Look at the likes of Man City. They sell top players in order to keep FFP off their back. They sell 1, then buy 3, unless they scrap FFP to compete with the Saudi League. This is just how it is. Exactly. I'm glad someone's seeing sense in it. As much as I hate it, I see the sense in it. You know, there's 2 different levels with me. There's fuck Bruno, no way, fuck off. And then the other side of it goes, oh, wait a minute, there's the FFP, there's the buying players in the future, there's future proof in the club. You've got to try and weigh up all the options these days. I'd be more worried about, I would be more worried about losing Isaac. Trips, not too much, because he's got 2 years left in him. But what a captain, what a guy. So probably that side of it, yes. But yeah, Isak, definitely. I think we found an unbelievable gem. At any given time, we have 1, 2, or 3 6s and 8s, depending on the game flow. Rig 6 or old hat. Yeah.
It's a lot of numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that is the issue with Bruno. Wants to be the star and not the flexibility of revolving midfield. I don't know. I don't think he has that big ego, to be honest with you. I just think going to Barcelona might have been something he dreamed of as a kid. I mean, let's face it, no one dreamed at their age of playing for Newcastle United, did they? Because we were shit. Go back 10 years ago when Bruno was 16, we had Mike Ashley and we were floating relegation all the time. He wasn't thinking, I can't wait to play in the black and white with Newcastle United. Now, he'd be thinking Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG, Bayern Munich. So, you've got to remember where Geordie's, we want to play for Newcastle. He's Brazilian. It's not what they watched over there, is it? Not their dreams. Watched the Villa game back after their equaliser. Howe told Bruno to sit back and allow Tolini to go forward. Howe was on the screen giving him instructions not to push forward. That's fair enough. That's because in that game at the time, Tolini was on fire. So they were allowing Tolini to do his stuff. But if you watch the game back and watch the movement of all the positions, you'll find Bruno wasn't always sitting as a 6. That's how clever the midfield three are. I'm just talking about if there was any player I'd want to sign ever to walk into our team, it would be Kevin De Bruyne, regardless if he's injured or not right now. Newcastle will beat Liverpool. Singh, just put your question in once, please, mate. Don't flood the chat with the same question all the time. It's very annoying. Liverpool midfield is weak, it is. Ultimately, the way FP works, if we sold Bruno, we could afford to buy the midfielder and we will. Yeah, exactly, we could. Beat me to it. Oh, God, there's loads of them. Question marks. Not usually that quick. At the end of the day, no one's bigger than the club. Yep, we've had that one as well. Liam's just ruined my week.
Sorry,
I will never be you, Bruno. He's been instrumental in the best season I've ever had in 60 odd years. St James is still crying at some moments. It's not you. Never. Steve, piss off. TMNW. Right. You've landed the Bruno thing. Is there any other outgoings that we need to know? Fraser to Celtic potentially. Have you heard anything on that one?
There's 3 teams that want Fraser in Scotland. So obviously the Celtic, Hearts, and Aberdeen want him potentially back.
That's good.
The only issue with him is he's just being a dick with his wages. So he's just being a pain in the back room of just bringing his wage down to go to someone like them. Celtic don't want to pay his wages, neither does Aberdeen or Hearts. So just one of those things that you've got to wait and see. I think he's one of the players that we've got to move on. You can't just keep him harbouring in the under 23 squad. You need to move him on, especially when he's on. I'm pretty sure he's on like 50, 60 grand a week.
He got a stupid contract off Mike Ashley, didn't he?
Yeah, and then Isaac Hayden, he got spoke about as well. A couple of championships club wanted him. Heard Norwich asked for him back. Didn't happen because they wanted a loan again. Borough are sniffing around him though. Borough are the main ones sniffing around him at the minute. Just like a lot of players that Borough's been sniffing around at this window for us. But yeah, Borough's the main one for Hayden so far. But I know Redden approached us at the start of the window for Hayden, and the evaluation Redden wanted to pay was less than £1 million, and we're like, definitely not.
There's a Bilbao coming up with some stuff about omitation. Depends on the player's contract. If it was 5 years, it would be 100 million, would be times 5. So we could potentially sell Bruno on a 5-year contract to Barcelona for 100 million and then gain 500 million in FFP overnight. Now, how scary is Newcastle with 500 million to spend?
Oh. Illegal all over again.
It is, isn't it? So you've got to think about it that way. He's entitled to his wages. When anyone here volunteered to give up 30, 40 grand a week. So let's just say if I'm on 50 grand a week, I'm a footballer, I'm coming to the end of my career, which Fraser sort of is. He's 29, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I got offered to play week in, week out, enjoy what I do for, say, I mean, he's not going to lose 30, 40 grand if he's on 50, is he? He's going to be getting paid in Scotland something like 30, 35 grand, do you reckon?
Yeah.
So you're only going to be losing out on potentially 15 grand a week and then playing regular football. I would seriously consider it, because why would you want to rot away in the 23s getting paid 15 grand more and not playing the sport you love in front of a crowd? There's two ways of looking at it. Yes, I understand what you're saying. That dickhead at Sunderland did it, didn't he? The one who went from Man City, Everton to Man City to Sunderland. I forget his name.
I know who you're about, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. It was on the Sunderland like that. Yeah, Rodwell. He literally sat in the physio's room every day and refused to leave. They even offered to terminate his contract so he could go and get a contract somewhere else to play football. And he just said, nah, I'm all right. I'll just keep getting a rub down every day and not play football. And I mean, what a way to end your career, being known for that guy. So I guess it depends on your personal build-up and what you want to do in your life. I would want to play football, so I would personally take the pay cut and go back to home, because Scotland's his home, and potentially play for Celtic in the Champions League. It's a no-brainer for me, to be honest with you. I'm surprised the Mackems haven't dipped in for our dead weights like the old days. They could easily do a job for them. They could, yeah. If we sold Bruno, I expect the owners to go out for Bellingham. That's never going to happen, because he's not leaving Real Madrid anytime soon, not after a year at Real Madrid. He's going to be at Real Madrid for a long time.
Bellingham had the chance to come to the Premier League and he turned it down as well. Chelsea wanted him and he said no. Yeah,
Liverpool did want him but couldn't afford to pay him, but then suddenly found the money for Casado, which is a bit weird. Nowhere near that door in Scotland. I bet you if he goes to Celtic, he is easily getting paid 30, 35, 40 grand a week, easily.
Morelos, that used to play for Rangers, used to be on nearly like 70 grand a week, so there's definitely wages in Scotland.
Exactly. Fraser maybe needs to think of his Scotland place too. Exactly. His international side of things as well.
Celtic's got a better FFP than half the Premier League clubs.
So footballers in the Scottish Premiership earn an average of 115,000 a year. However, in the other three senior leagues where players are predominantly part-time, the average wage is far lower. I bet you at Celtic, it's a completely different ballgame. Yes, there might be at other clubs, the little ones, but there's no way in the Scottish Premier League someone's only earning 115,000 a year. Not a chance. Nah, I'm sorry, I don't buy that one. I'd take a Diaby rub down for 50k a week, a daily rub down for 50k a week. Manchester City versus Newcastle, if it's boxing, 5-4 and 5-5. Oh, that's the scoreline he's guessing. Let's talk about the game very, very quickly before we go, because we've covered all the transfer stuff. I think we can take City on Saturday.
I think I'll beat them 2-0.
2-0.
I've already put my bet on as well.
Ooh, I'm not that confident. I've gone either 2-1 or 3-2.
I just think it's based on City's first game. City played at a Burnley side that's just being promoted, and we know how deadly City can pretty be with Haaland. And City didn't even have one of the best games I've seen them have.
They never start quickly though, do they?
Yeah,
they did the job. They did the job. But with Kevin De Bruyne being out, and I think they're missing a couple of centre backs as well. One with concussion and one ruled out. I think Laporte and there was someone else who's missing. So they're left with Ake and potentially maybe Walker coming in as a makeshift centre-back or something along those lines. I'm not 100% sure, but our attack can really get at them.
Yeah.
What's this one about Celtic? This is also the average annual player salary, which is the highest at Celtic FC with roughly 196,000 British pounds, followed by Rangers FC with approximately 250 British pounds. I don't know what you talk. I'm lost now. I'm not very good when it comes to wages, but there's no way at Celtic when they're in the Champions League are they not offering big wages to players. It's that. Just look, Barry, the highest Celtic earnings about 20k a week. No way, definitely not. Not a chance. Not in Champions League. Can't be. Can't be.
No way. There's a
I'm fighting that all day
that.
long. I'm fighting that. There's a mistype somewhere there. If Botman can keep Haaland quiet, we have a great chance. And if our team can keep Haaland quiet, is the way to do it. 4-2, says Andy. City's defence was shaky in the European Cup final. They're playing Sevilla tomorrow night. Is it tomorrow night? In the Super Cup?
I think so.
I think so. That's another reason why, if they play a strong team, I think we've got a good chance on Saturday, because it's a quick turnaround, isn't it? 2-2 draw against City.
Today.
That's tonight.
That's tonight.
All right, so they play tonight, then they've got to play Saturday night. They've got to fly back, because I think the game is on foreign soil.
I think.
Does it say?
No. Let's find out.
Quite a few injuries, new players still bedding in. Great time to play them. It really is. And it's tonight. Said, what it says on sports payout, Joe Hart is well, Joe Hart doesn't surprise me on that. But I reckon their best players are definitely on more than that. Got to be. Yep, it's tonight. I'm sure it's on foreign soil. It's not a Wembley.
Yeah, it is in Greece, apparently. In
Greece?
Athens. Yeah, apparently it's in Athens.
See, flying out to Athens, flying back, then having to put up with a game on Saturday. It depends on the team he plays tonight. It'll be very interesting. But I think we can do City on. Yeah, I'm going for it. Only way Haaland isn't scoring is if we play a sniper. You never know. We might stop him. You might stop him. I'll be back this afternoon for the members draw for the T-shirt with Dyer Crow, so tune in for that at midday. I will get the Newcastle Benfield highlights out tonight. A cracking game against North Shields last night, and some very good goals. There's an unbelievable strike in the mix, so keep an eye out for those highlights. We'll be live on Friday night to look ahead at the Man City game. We've got a Man City fan coming on who's going to try and put us down a peg, because we're getting a little bit excited about beating them. And then on Sunday, we're going to do the review show. So there you go, Matty Wayne. You know exactly when we're on, so you don't need to worry about the notification bell. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the show. Hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to check out Dyer Crow. And there's the 20% off. And the link to the shop is in the description. Thank you, Liam, for coming on. You'll find Liam on Twitter. Follow him. Honestly, he knows people. He's going to get good stuff and legitimate stuff. It will all be from agents. So what you've got to remember is sometimes agents do like to spin the wheel, but we can only report on what we're told. So take it with a pinch of salt sometimes. But hey, if you find out Neymar's going to Saudi Arabia and he does, you know you're getting told some good stuff. So please follow him on Twitter and keep an eye out for his tweets, basically. So any last words, Liam?
No, that's everything. Thank you very much for having us on.
No, thanks for coming on and saying you wanted to do it. It's been a good morning. I now need a shower. Especially this Bruno talk. I need a cold shower to get this frightening thought out of my head of him leaving. But I'll see you again in an hour and a bit for the draw. And take care till then, guys.
See you later.